guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about 3 things that are better in America versus South Africa that Refilwe has experienced, and 3 things that are worse in America that she's experienced. So you moved here, what, 12 or 13 years ago?
Yeah, 13 years ago.
So we've got a lot of time to think about what some things are better here, some things are worse. So I don't know the answers. I'm going to react to them in real time and give you my thoughts as an American.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's take it away.
Okay, so 3 things that are better in South Africa. In South Africa, yeah. This one is almost obvious, is the weather.
Okay.
Yeah, Wisconsin, I can't say in America, in Wisconsin has the worst winter that 13 years later, I cannot get used to this weather, so to the winter.
The coldest it gets in South Africa is what, Fahrenheit, like 50s?
In Fahrenheit, yeah, 50s, maybe upper 40s, or sometimes lower 40s at night, right?
Celsius is above, it's always above 0 Celsius.
It's always above 0, at least where I come from. So 0 is 32 degrees, yeah. So it's always above 0 where I come from. And then it's very short. It's like 2 months of cold weather.
So
and the sun is always shining. So even if it's winter, it's like this, it's like outside. It's cold, but you still see the sun. So here, you don't see the sun, and it can be depressing. It's cold and it's gloomy.
I agree with that. It's very depressing.
Mm-hmm. So
very long.
And long. It's like half a year almost. So that's one.
Snow is fun, but I always like the first couple snows. But what I don't like about Wisconsin winters is they go on too long, and it's too much cold, too dark. What was your first winter like here?
The first winter here, it was beautiful because I was visiting from South Africa.
Oh, okay.
And it was around Christmas time, so the beauty of the snow and the Christmas decorations, because Americans go all out with we don't do that back home. And mind you too, I'm talking about where I come from, right? I didn't grow up with Christmas decorations or street lights, like Christmas street lights. No, nothing like that. And people go all out. So when I came here, first winter, lots of snow. It's beautiful. It's white. You know, you're walking on snow. You're not shoveling it. You're not shoveling it.
When you moved here, it got old really quickly.
Oh my gosh, it did so quickly. Yeah. So that was my first experience with. I didn't have to drive in it, right?
That's right.
So that's one. So 3 things.
Okay,
Two. I would say the people, and this one is very interesting because, you know, back home I think people are more friendly. People engage, right? And I'm a kind of a person who engages. And then you realize when you engage people here, they actually like it. They're like, oh, I don't know you, why are you talking to me? Then they're like, oh, okay, let's talk, you know. But it's not second nature to people to just engage in a conversation. Like your neighbors, yeah, and your neighbors you can just not see your neighbors. You know, there's no standing over the fence and like chatting. Before you know it, you're like, whoo, we've been chatting for like an hour. My pots are burning, something like that. So that's that.
You may not even know your neighbors very well here.
You may not even know their first names. You just see them drive in and out, do their yard work and blah, and people like their privacy that way.
It's an interesting topic though, because sometimes I hear in other videos, especially Europeans, they'll say, I think they mean this in a different way than you mean it, but Americans are so friendly.
They are?
And outwardly friendly, but not like maybe a fake. But I think people are from Europe, I've heard when they come here, they're surprised people Americans say,
engaged.
how are you doing, or how are you? Have a good day.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, that, I guess that's not as common in, I don't know, in European countries. They're not,
They are not that engaging.
and people, we don't really mean, how are you? It's not a real question.
Yeah, it's just
kinda
like I acknowledge you. I see you. You are a human being.
Yeah, like it's
Right.
kind of like hi, but
Uh-huh,
I've heard that people they're not used to that level of friendliness. But you're talking about actual
Yeah.
getting to know people.
Actual getting to know, like, you're not gonna go to a bus stop and just stand there and not talk to somebody.
Right.
But people would do that, like, okay,
don't talk to
running
me.
my business.
Why is he talking to me?
Yes,
Like, yeah.
yes. Why are they greeting me? Like,
Yeah.
suddenly. Yeah, so that's different. But on that note, as you were talking about Europeans and stuff, I wasn't gonna, this was not my top 3, but people are very open here. Like, open book.
With their personal lives.
With their personal lives, people just talk. I come from where you like, oh, don't, what is it, hang your dirty linens in.
Yeah.
But people would just talk about their relationships and their struggles. I think I told you this. I used to watch Jerry Springer. And I was like, these people are crazy. You're going to go on a national TV and talk about, you cheated on me and I caught you doing this. I'm like,
Americans are crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And then I thought everybody was like that.
Yeah.
Not everybody is that crazy. That's like just a handful. But people talk about their struggles, and that's very refreshing because, it's a way of saying we all struggle, and then you feel free to also not just bottle up your things. And so I like that about Americans.
That's a positive. But
That's a positive.
On the negative, just getting to know people on a daily basis is harder here.
Yeah, it's harder. It's harder. Like people engage with you for a reason. You are my colleague, okay, we'll talk about reports, but you don't just say, hey, where are you going? Let me come with you. Like South Africans would do that. And then I do that here, and I always get like, oh my gosh, or my kids are like, huh? You're just going to insert yourself into, I'm like, why not? We're friends. We just said hi to each other. Yes. Okay, so that was that 2?
That's 2, yep.
Oh, the food. The food. Obviously, the U.S. has a lot of, Mexican food that's not huge at home. Other types of, like I wasn't exposed from where I come from to different types of, like, oh, I'll go to, unless if you're in big cities, I'm going to an Italian restaurant, I'm going to this, I'm going to that, right? But just but just like the staple food, like I feel like the food in South Africa that you would find in a normal house, is more flavorful. Flavor is huge in us, spices and strong spices. And everything else, like we were talking about, I don't drink soda anymore because I don't get soda to start with, but I also feel like it's a little bit toned down here. When I drink the Coke at home, it's like, woo, this is Coke. Here it's like, I feel like it's like, woo, this is sugar.
Everything's got too much sugar in it.
Yeah, it's too much sugar, and then the taste, it overpowers the taste. And then, food can, of course it do differ maybe with, the origin of people too. And then just the level of junk food in this world, in this part of the world is amazing. Like potato chips, there are like more than 100 types of potato chips. There's more than like 100 types of candy, sweets we call them. 100 types of cookies, biscuits we call them. So it's like the choices of unhealthy food is so wide that temptation is easily there, So
yeah, I think
it's a lost art, and it
Some people do, obviously, but there's a lot of convenience foods and prepackaged foods.
pre-packaged food, which I didn't. At home, the default is you cook. The default here is you buy food or you eat out, right? And I strongly believe because of the choices, because even with frozen food and all that, the choices are just like many. You go into the frozen section, there are so many frozen choices. And it is true, I worked it out, that it is true that it's cheaper to eat out or buy like those foods than to cook. Would you agree?
It's cheaper to buy foods.
Yeah, to buy like pre-packaged food or like McDonald's than cook at home, cook healthy food.
It depends. Yeah.
It depends, yeah. Elaborate. Frozen pizza, you can get a $2.50 frozen pizza to feed the whole family.
You can get a $2, yeah. You can go to McDonald's and buy a dollar McChicken, $1 hamburger.
Yeah. $1 big soda.
You can have a $3 meal. Whereas, yeah, it depends what you're buying for. If you're buying organic meat or meat, like a lot of meat. But
Yeah.
you could also buy very cheap. You could buy rice and veggies and
Yeah.
a little bit of meat, and you can make very cheap meals at home too.
True.
So, but
Yeah.
there is a lot of cheap food.
And then the cost of gas and the cost of your time, because time here is very valuable too.
Yes.
Time here is really, like, there's no time. Maybe I'm speaking for myself. I feel like I'm always running around, And when I think about my life back at home, I would work until maybe 4, get home at 5, and just sit. Oh, you know why? There was a lot of help.
Oh.
Everybody can afford help.
For help.
Full-time help. When somebody is a babysitter, it's not really a babysitter. It's like running your home. They'll babysit, they'll cook. They could if you want. Cook, do your laundry and all that. So suddenly, that was a big shock.
That's a big shock too, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you can put that in the next parts, but
Oh, okay. That's gonna be.
Then we could talk about it because you hire a babysitter here. It's just babysitting, and it's $10 to $15 an hour.
Yeah. If you left the dishes in the sink and the babysitter comes at $15 an hour, they're gonna watch your baby, and then you come back home to dirty dishes regardless.
So not only are you going out and spending, whatever, $80 on a meal, or it could be more than that, but then you're paying another $60 for the babysitter. So.
And the house is still in disarray, the same way you found it. So that made me appreciate my time back home and all the people that have crossed my path at home, helping in all sort of ways, including gardeners. You do your own gardening and all that. So back to the subject. So are they 3? So I said
we
food,
have 3,
I said weather, I said what?
Okay.
All the friendliness of people.
Weather, food, and people. Yeah. 3 things that you appreciate better in South Africa.
Oh, that was the subject. So now I have to do the same thing here?
Yeah, well, stop it now for now.
Okay.
Get some gas. Give us, if you can, 3 things you're pleasantly surprised about in America, or that you like better in America.
I like better in America.
Versus South Africa.
Okay, so did you say the 3 things were weather, the people, and food?
Yeah.
Okay. In America, the number 1 thing that I appreciate is the safety.
Safety.
Yep, the safety. There are no fences, no high fences and security fences that suburbs to like the low kind of like less secure places, I still feel safe to walk around the streets and talk on my cell phone and have my purse on my hand and not really looking around. I can drive anywhere at night and not worry about could I be hijacked? What are the hijack spots and all that? So that is like complete freedom. Like I live alone, right, with 3 girls, and I never think about, could somebody come. We don't even lock the house.
Right, a lot of people don't.
Right now.
A lot of people don't like to lock their house at night.
Yeah.
Which is
Right now, I left my house around 5 p.m. after work to come to your house for the weekend. My house is unlocked right now, and there's no fence, no gate, no security system.
So in South Africa, every house has that fence around it. Is that right?
Every house has a fence around it.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but that's amazing to me. That would be
Even gated communities some gated communities, they will still have fences as well, or high walls. So you have this beautiful house.
The gating in the community, and then there's still fenced off.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's for security, but in some places it doesn't make sense. Like you have security at the gates, and you know what I mean? That's my observation. Like, you walk like in a place called Dainfern where my brother has a house. It's these beautiful houses, but you can just see a little bit of it because there are walls. You're like, oh my gosh, you'd like to see somebody like watering their beautifully manicured grass.
We call it curb appeal, right?
Curb appeal, yes. So when you buy a house here,
curb appeal, you can see from the curb.
You can see
street.
Exactly. So there's no such thing as curb appeal in most areas in South Africa. Highways are like a thing.
That's a very interesting answer because I feel one of the stereotypes of America is that we're gun crazy and there's people shooting each other and murders in the street, and it's just so violent. But
yeah,
and there are.
And each country has.
Parts of the city, but it's not that. It's not that crazy. It's pretty safe in general.
Yeah. So that's a good point you're making, because there's unsafe areas like everywhere, right? But driving from the airport through the cities into an area maybe 20 miles away, I have to think security first. Where's my purse?
In South Africa.
Yeah, where's my purse? Is it in a trunk? Okay, why is that car slowing down? I don't know. There's an element of paranoia, and I don't know whether because now I'm thinking, if you are in South Africa like I was there before, you don't leave your home and think, ooh, what if I'm robbed, right? But it's second nature. I grab my purse, I grab the keys, I go to the trunk, I put the purse, like it's not like you live in fear.
Right, it's just built in.
It's built in your DNA.
Yeah.
But when you are here, like me, and then I go home, it's almost like I have to, because I cannot just switch my mind, then I panic, like, oh, okay, all right, what's the in thing now? Like, can I talk with my cell phone in the, like, where do I go? I remember that the year I moved here, in restaurants, like when you have like outside like beautiful seating, they were making hooks under the tables so that you can hook your purse there instead of hooking it here. Oh man. Instead of hooking it on the side, because otherwise, Anyway, that's that. So that's one, right? The security. 2 is I appreciate the education system here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not so much the content of what is being taught, but just that, the level of quality of education that my kids are getting I know it's
public
education is better than my public education. That level of organization and education, I could say, with all the activities and science labs and everything, you would find them in private schools.
Okay.
And you would pay an arm and a leg for those.
Yeah.
And here, I get those for free pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, isn't it like $100 a year for, you know, for
supplies or fees,
for some supply and then the kids go to school for free in a bus.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like at home, when I say home, I mean in South Africa, that's my home. Like this place here is not my home. At home,
you live here, but it's not.
It doesn't matter. I'm just like living here. It's not my home. At home, you take your child to private school and maybe pay something like, I don't know, $20,000 a year for that child, maybe at high school or middle school. And then on top of that, you'll pay for extramarital activities. Yeah, and then on top of that, you'll pay transportation for them to be picked up at home and dropped off at school, you know. So for me, you know, $20,000 as opposed to $100 per year.
Yeah.
And then there's like a school uniform, right, which is also costly. Here the kids just show up with whatever they're wearing, which I don't like anyways. But
public education, just in America, the public education varies a lot by which community you live in.
mm-hmm. The quality, right?
Quality. So
Mm-hmm.
your particular area is good.
Yeah.
Some other towns may not be as good because the education is controlled locally.
Yeah.
It's not a federal government initiative. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, most towns outside of the biggest cities maybe have pretty good public education.
Yeah, so I'm talking
At least
about
good
my
enough, yeah.
experience where I am, right? To your point,
And the cost.
it may differ. Yeah, so that's
The
what
funny thing
it
is,
is.
people still live in nice communities like yours, and they'll still send kids to private schools,
Yeah.
even though they have a, like you said, $20,000 education.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting there
And
for
pay
free.
that
Yeah.
when you could, yeah.
But
College education, like varsity, is a different story, very expensive. But then when you look at, you know, you haven't been paying anything for 12 years, right? If you're responsible, you could save towards this expensive, you know, varsity tuition, which is I'm in a leg. But anyway, that's two.
all right, the rest two. Number three.
Three, maybe I could say, man, I cannot. I'll just grab one of the things that I mentioned earlier that, oh, I'll grab one, it's all about me. I'll grab one of the things that I mentioned earlier, the amount of help you get from, the cost of help is very low in South Africa.
We're
Right?
talking about America.
We're talking about America, but I'm saying I'll take that and put a spin on it,
Okay.
a positive spin on it here. It really, when you are here, you are forced to be organized because it's all on you, right? You have to figure out laundry day, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. And then by nature of that, you are naturally bonded to your children. You know, that's the one thing that I noticed when I was here. You know, I could come back from work and say, I'm tired, I'm just gonna go straight to bed, you know, and have somebody maybe pick up my kids from daycare and then bring them home and cook. And, you know, now I cook with my kids. You know, I have to do homework with them. I have to take them for walks. You know, I'm not relying on anybody to do it. When I say me, I mean parents, right? I have to do that. You're taking to and from. There are thousands of activities. You know, there's bonding during the drives. There's bonding, you know, there, back. You get them to do the laundry, you fold laundry with them, you're not relying on. So, you know, by nature of not having help and having to do everything yourself, you bring them in to doing stuff, you spend more time with them.
Silver lining of not
Yeah.
Not being able to afford all the care. Brings you
Yep.
closer to their family.
Closer to the family. Yeah. And I remember when I couldn't wait for Gabriella, my eldest, to be 13 years so she could watch her sisters during summer. And she did that, and that alone created, bonding too. And then the freedom of not having a non-family member in the house.
So when you have that, it's kind of an extra stress or awkwardness having the non-family member.
Yeah, it can be, awkward. You can't walk naked in your house, right? And then there's a built-in. I remember I used to have this guilt in me because you can really get carried away. Like, okay, I have this full-time help. Oh, now I'm gonna go hiking. Like we're going hiking now with, my partner. It's Saturday, but this person has a family. Really, they should be taking every weekend off to go be with their parents.
Yes.
I mean, with their families. And when that happens, maybe you have a funeral to go to, so you ask them to stay. There's an element of guilt, which is you should feel guilty about that. It's wrong,
Yeah.
So
That's an interesting one. I wouldn't have guessed that one.
yeah. I lived with a lot of guilt. Like, oh my gosh. And then I'll hear stories of my, helper will get a phone call and say, oh, so and so, their 5-year-old was, sent home from school because they are not feeling well. It's Wednesday, and they're like, oh, okay, did you take them to the clinic? Oh, okay, how they're doing, and I'm asking, how is your child today? Oh, I called, they're saying that's bad, and she's in my home with my children, with me, taking care of my children and making my life super easy. You know what I mean?
For the record, you weren't rich. You weren't a rich person in South Africa.
No,
It's just
everybody
that
does.
The income, as I understand, discrepancies are so large.
Are so large, yeah.
You can afford help for very, very small price.
Yeah. So before I had children, I had no business getting somebody to help me, right? And I didn't. Until one lady approached me and said, oh, I need to feed my family. Can I please work for you a couple of days a week? And so I said yes. So options where I could say, oh, I'll give you that money, just to be at home. So she came and she, cleaned twice a week and did my laundry, and I felt proud of myself that I was creating employment and helping feed a family, right? And anybody can afford that. As long as you go to work, you can, because we don't, the payment too, man. We talked about $15 an hour for a babysitter here who's just watching the kids. It's probably $15. I don't know the going rate now, but it's probably $15, maybe $30 a week.
A week? Yeah, that's crazy.
A week, I'm pretty much sure some people are still getting $30 a week, and they are doing everything.
You could never find anybody here to do anything close to that. I mean, one, because there's government unemployment assistance, and there's money paid out from the government. So
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage is
Which is I don't know, $7.75 or something like. But not to say that. Again, it's one of those things that if you don't do it, you're not helping the economy, right? There are people who need those types of jobs. That's one. And I'm not saying that everybody is exploiting the workers, because not everybody does,
just
right?
Personally, for you, you felt.
Personally, I felt like it. And even some people I know, there's no, you'd have your friends complain about, they just want to go home every weekend. But that's because you don't really put yourself in their shoes and saying, wait a minute, I'm here with my family and they're here with me and my family. What about their family, right? So that's that. For me, that was that, difficult thing of wanting to help but feeling guilt. And so I don't really miss it. Sometimes I wish I had, if I needed help, I didn't have to pay like half my salary for it. Sometimes I feel like I could do with help in the garden.
Yeah.
But it's all on me. You have to weigh, like, do I want to pay $100 for somebody to come cut my grass, or I'm just going to go and cut it myself?
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
All right, there you go.
Is that 3?
That's good, yeah.
Okay.
3.
There's probably more, but I couldn't think that
We'll
deeply
save that
about.
for another video.
Yes.
There you go. 3 things, bad and good,
Yeah.
off the top of our head.
What do you think now? You want to go live in South Africa?
I want to visit,
Just visit?
but we'll see. You got to visit before you can
Yeah.
decide. So
Yeah.
it'll be a future video.
Okay.
I'll get my reactions to South Africa and see
Oh, once
how I
you
like it.
Yeah. And by the way, he hasn't been to South Africa.